Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach, and I help people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And I have been starting working on a series here of episodes titled "Bad Mental Health Advice for People Experiencing Symptoms of Anxiety, Depression, and Traumatic Stress." And so this advice might not be bad for other people, but it is really bad if you're experiencing these symptoms. And in today's episode, this advice is bad for everybody. And that is a simple one that creates a lot of harm, I think, and I'm going to tell you why. And this advice is control your emotions. Um, that seems pretty harmless, and that seems like, yeah, you should totally do that. But I think this really aligns us, and it really speaks to a really big misunderstanding of emotions. It really speaks to a really big misunderstanding of brain function and all the things that are going on, what emotion is. And I don't know that any of us exactly know what emotion is, but it's really it's a type of energy. It's something, right? It's something that happens in your body. I mean, if you feel into it, it's like, where is it coming from? What's it doing? Um, what I have found, I've got some theories and ideas, that is that this is an energy and it provides our system with energy and information. And that's what emotion is. So it's hugely valuable. And it also runs through the nervous system. It runs through our body. And I think, I'm going to say I think because I haven't talked to the quantum physics people or the people that have machinery on this. I think that it's electrical and it runs through our energy systems. And if it's not electrical, I think it is the most similar to electricity that we have. And this is how I see it happening in brain function. So I think saying control your emotions is the same thing as saying control electricity. I, I don't think that's not what we do. We don't really control electricity. We influence where electricity is going. We work with electricity. We handle electricity. We harness electricity. I don't know that we control it. We can get pretty precise, right? We can really make it do what we want it to do. And that's really what I want your system to do with emotions. I want your system to move with it, to really use it to harness that energy source, to use this power source to live the life of your dreams. To really, this is all this energy, all this emotion, let's get it to do what the great things that emotion does. And so to think that you're going to control this is not a realistic thing. And so I find that this is a mental error to think about energy like this, to think about our emotions like this. And I've got some ideas for what to do differently with this. Um, but let me tell you, because it's electrical and because your system is wired, it's wired like a lamp, right? The top of the lamp, the light is really what we live by. Like, we love it when we can turn that lamp on and it works just right, and we turn it on, we get light. When emotion is flowing through us, like anger, we want it to move through our system and actually turn the light bulbs on. Right? Anger, when it runs through our system properly, it gets converted into assertiveness, kindness, healthy boundaries. It's a really valuable resource. As a matter of fact, today I was working with a client who shut their anger down in childhood and hasn't had it since and is stuck in their life. And so our work is to repair the wiring for anger so that proper anger can flow through their life and the light bulbs can turn on. Anger is a reporter to let us know when we've been violated, our boundaries have been crossed and overstepped, and it's an informant. It's not an energy that should come out and conk somebody on the head. That lets us know that the wiring short circuits somewhere and comes out in a different expression through a survival state, a fight, right? And so what we want is we want to, wherever that, when the anger starts flowing, wherever the short circuit is, we want the brain to get in there and repair that and actually get that part moving and get the energy moving through, get that emotion coming through. I don't want him controlling his anger. I want him to use his anger. I want him to harness his anger. I want him to influence it. And I want his system to complete the process of converting anger into kindness, assertiveness, and healthy boundaries. Right? Now, when we say control, a lot of times we're talking about suppress. Um, gosh, my brain wants to talk about something else. But controlling emotions takes a lot of energy. And people that come in that are controlling emotions, they come into my office or virtually, and they're very rigid. Everything's controlled. Their words are controlled. Their speech is controlled. They're trying not to get upset. They're controlling the people around them because they don't want the people around them to say the wrong thing that lights them up and sets them off. They're trying to control. It's a very rigid, uncomfortable thing that is exhausting to the system. And people say things to them like, you don't care, you're just heartless, you're this. And no, the truth is that they're very, very hurt, which means that, and then on top of that, they're very angry, and their system doesn't move anger well enough to convert that energy into kindness and assertiveness. If that energy starts moving through their system, there will be a short circuit. There will be explosions of anger and rage. And they don't want that. They know that their system does not handle and manage and harness that energy well. And so they'll use other energy things and they'll do other strategies, and it's dysfunctional. And the other thing about this is that if you can't just control one emotion, once you start trying to control, then you realize you have to control the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And pretty soon there's so many things you have to control. And now your anxiety is up, and then you're squeezing the life out of everyone around you and your own self. You don't do that, right? It's not a healthy thing, and it hurts. That is something that is really, really hurtful. Also, emotions are very much like breathing. You don't control your breathing. Now, you can influence your breathing, but as soon as you stop paying attention to your breathing, your breathing's going to do whatever the heck it was doing anyway, and whatever the heck your body's internal system and wisdom and wiring said it was going to do. And so you can try that, but it's a lot of energy, and you can't really sustain it for very long. And it's got its own. Your lungs are doing their own thing. They have their own nature. And so it's this control your emotions is an unrealistic expectation for somebody. And so really we want the emotions to do what they're doing. And that's really the brain, once brains can practice successful use of emotions, they say, anyway, that was interesting. And then you do it again, and you walk the brain through a successful utilization of anger, and all of a sudden it's like, I think I get it. And then it wants to try it itself. And then it takes some anger and moves it through. Maybe you keep supporting it, and pretty soon it completes. And then your brain starts practicing it on its own. And pretty soon you have a very mature way of utilizing the emotion of anger. Some people, it's fear. Some people, especially with generalized anxiety disorder, other anxiety disorders, the brain does not utilize the energy of fear well, the emotion of fear well. It will short circuit and create all sorts of problems like panic attacks, racing thoughts, foggy thinking, right? The difficulty concentrating, feeling foggy mentally. These are the healthy wellness we get in life, in our mental health, is by utilizing this energy well, not by controlling it. Controlling it is I don't even think that's a helpful, realistic expectation at all. And I think what we're really saying is suppress it. Suppress the anger, repress it, get it out of here, get rid of that, bury it somewhere. That is how awful things happen in the body. Okay, post-traumatic stress, illness, physical illness, all sorts of things. So let's not do that. Let's get your system utilizing and harnessing the energy well, and these emotions that are really difficult for you to process. We need to make sure your system is wired to process these emotions. That's part of what health is about. You've had enough practice that your system internally is like, oh, I've got this, and it's working with that emotion beautifully. It doesn't need to suppress it. It doesn't need to hide it. It doesn't need to deny it. It can actually just utilize it, right? Fear, when fear, the energy of the emotion of fear gets through the brain's process, the healing process, it's converted into hope and courage. We want that conversion to take place. If we're telling people to suppress, deny, overlook, shut out their fear, we are denying them a lot of hope and courage. We're asking them to live their life in the absence of the hope and courage their brain could have created for them. I think that's a tragedy. I think that's awful. I don't think we should be doing that to anyone, right? And if our emotions are out of control, that means our system usually is not utilizing that energy well. And at some point, we're shifting into a survival state. That happens. That's part of how humans learn. That's part of, it's like lifting weights. You go in there and you take a weight that's bigger than what you can do, and you stress your body out, right? So you're breaking your muscles down, and you don't do too much. You just do a little bit past what you um, I don't know what a point. That's not my field, right? But anyway, you break this stuff down, you drop it, and you let your body recover, and it recovers stronger, right? And so it's like, I don't even know why I was telling that example. Give me a moment. Let me catch my thought there. Why did I tell that? Um, it's building muscle. Brains do that. Brains are great at that. We want to start trusting our brain's process, but we don't trust our brain's process because the ability to convert these things, to take emotion and harness it and utilize it really, really well, like the brain is capable of doing. We really have to work. We have to support this process. The survival system's designed to keep us away from fear, pain, which fear can be registered in the brain as pain, and so can rejection and anger and all these things. So the survival system's working to get you away from that stuff. And that, yet that stuff needs to come through. We do need to help our brain with that. That's really where we're at. We're teaching our brain, hey, it's safe right now. Let that go through. And it gets a little bit through. It watches the whole thing be converted and utilized, and says, well, that was a good thing. This feels like a bad thing. That feels like a good thing. This anger that's not processed feels like a bad thing. But then it becomes up here. Your system is learning how to work with this energy. That your system is learning to start trusting some of these emotions. Right? And so when we break it down to this kind of science, where it's just we need to help the brain convert this stuff, it becomes very simple. It becomes very mathematical. It becomes very strategic, very simplified, right? And so in these moments where we have these out of control emotions, which that's what happens in these anxiety, depression, and trauma disorders with these symptoms, we need to really help the system rewire and get strong and great at moving these emotions and utilizing the emotion the way it's supposed to be utilized. So let's not find emotionally out of control people and say, hey, you need to control your emotions. Let's say, hey, that looks really tough. Looks like you're not utilizing some of this energy well, and it's really tough on you. Right? Let's get that stuff wired properly. Right? I don't know that we'll talk like that to each other. I'm sure there are better words than that, but you know what I'm saying. You know that it's like it's let's give it the proper solution. The proper solution is, gosh, we need that. I can't tell you how many people I work with that have childhood experiences of fear and terror, either because their parent was scaring them with dire warnings and catastrophic thinking, or bad things happened in childhood that child's brain in that moment did not get to go through the process of converting that fear and processing that fear and turning it into the hope and courage and a greater understanding of the world, right? And also, right, that also the brain really starts to understand how it can be safe and what safety is, right? But instead they're just frozen in that time with all this emotion surging through their system, and it doesn't make it through the healing pathways, and it gets stuck in the body. And then it keeps repeating, and they keep having more and more fear. And then their system is not getting the experience of successfully working with fear. And then all of a sudden, the people around them are like, they're seeing this fear problem is growing. It's just one small problem. The brain needs to learn how to complete the process with this fear. But then as they see this, they're like, you need to stop being afraid. You need to control your worry. This is silly. I can't believe you're worried about that. No, that's not how brain function works. It's going to continue to send off alarms of safety, of fear, and the brain is missing out on new opportunities of processing fear effectively over and over and over again. And that energy does not leave. That electricity does not leave the body. It stays there. And all sorts of things happen until finally people really learn how to process these things. And sometimes it will happen accidentally. Sometimes they'll run into the right person, the right strategy, the right intervention, and all of a sudden it just helps them move that fear and complete it. And the next thing they have this hope and courage, and they're like, oh, okay. And sometimes, but right now we can be very intentional. We can really be very intentional with helping the brain and body complete its fear cycle and get all the unprocessed fear, all that electricity that hasn't made its way through the healing process. We can get all that stuff through, and we can help the brain complete that and really convert that energy, teach the system how to work with fear, and the next thing you know, they've got this hope and courage and a working system that can now experience fear and process it effectively. That's how we restore health. And that's how we create healthy ways of being with fear for people for the rest of their life. That's why this is so important. That's why all these opportunities in childhood and adulthood and early, late adolescence, these opportunities with fear are powerful. They're important. They're valuable. And if we're not doing it well, that's okay. That's great feedback. That lets us know this process needs more support. Let's give it more support. And so that's really what I wanted to share. And I really, if you've got anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, there are emotions that are not processing, that your brain cannot get them processed. And there are lots of tricks, a lot of strategies, and your brain does have a natural process for that, but that process is stuck and needs support. And really, this really is the work that I help people do. This is the brain work of resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And I've written an 8-part curriculum for this for people too. It's an online self-study program. You can grab it and you can walk your brain through the process of healing and resolving symptoms, learning how to work with emotions effectively, really gaining and harnessing the power of them. I also am offering workshops. I'm offering individual sessions, and I have an intensive coaching program for people who want to resolve their anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress or traumatic stress, post-traumatic stress in 2 to 6 months. That's an intensive program. It's designed just for people who are ready and who I assess are really positioned to get that outcome that quickly. And so if that's something that you're interested in, I encourage you to make your way to my website, read through the healing opportunities I'm offering, and see which one stands out to you and do it. Get started. This stuff resolves so quickly, and really you should get results within the first 10-15 minutes of watching an intervention and using an intervention, right? And in my program I train you to do that right away. It's the first thing that we do. Introduction, and get to work. Try this intervention, try this one. These are the things, the outcomes you should be getting. Once you are equipped with even just one intervention that helps your brain through its healing process, you are locked in and ready to roll. It's time to get to work. And so I show you how to do that in very small baby steps that are powerful for your brain, because when your brain can get some of this fear processed for the first time, your brain is, I'm sure there's a party in there. I'm certain. It is like, we have been looking for this information and energy this whole time. I know exactly what to do with this. It's crazy. I mean, there's like, it's a big, awesome deal in your head even when you just get a little bit moved. And that's how we start in the beginning, and because you get the practice and the skill of working with these different emotions and getting your brain to do its work, to complete its process. And we get that up and running, and then we get it enough practice and we move on to the next strategy and really start taking more stress. And we start teaching your system how to work through even bigger challenges. And that is huge. And we just keep going and going and going and going until we've got all this healing done. And then your system has repaired and you're starting to do the things of wellness. Like we want to see self-trust. We want to see joy. We want to see confidence. We want to see inner wisdom instead of inner criticism. right? We want to see so many of those things. We want to see that those are indications that your system is able to do its work of creating joy. There's your brain does that. It's a whole process in there, and we don't want you to have to force it. We want it to come naturally from your system. That means that your system is your system creates it. Your system knows how to create joy consistently. It knows how to create confidence. It knows how to do that stuff, to take the emotions that you were controlling, but now harnessing to create joy, wellness, to create reaching your goals, setting goals, reaching goals, and really helping you really create your life of your dreams. And so that is a powerful, powerful process, and it happens so quickly. Anyway, I could go on and on. I'm a huge fan of this process. It's so I tell clients, it's like, you're going to love this. Your brain is going to love this. And it's true. This is how brains work. And when brains can start to do their process, or consistently do their process where it's been stuck, it is phenomenal. You sleep better. You eat differently. You walk differently. Your body changes. Your world changes. The things you say change. The things coming out of your mouth change, because your system is is free, is taking all this baggage and is converting it into your wellness, or getting rid of it altogether. And you finally have the space and the function to think with clarity, to plan. And your brain does a lot of this stuff in the background. You don't, it's not so hard. Like a client told me today, it's like walking through molasses when they're trying to think and do regular things. And it's like, no. To be able to think. I remember that. I remember when I was first diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, like 12, 13 years ago. I don't know. It's been a while. I was so confused. I remember that. And I didn't have these interventions yet, but gosh. And so when she said that, I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. This was our first session. And so, gosh, it's so exciting to be able to, and people ask me, once we're starting to use these interventions on the first day and they're starting to see their brain clear up and things functioning again, the lights turning on, they're like, is this magic? And I'm like, no, this is healthy brain function. This is what your brain can and should have been doing the entire time, right? And now that it's up and running, we're going to get it to go clean all that stuff up, and watch it, watch what happens, watch you become more of yourself, more whole. Yeah, it's fabulous. So anyway, if you're interested in that, I invite you to go to my website, rachelmcleod.com / no forward slash anything, just rachelmcleod.com, and check to have a look around. And everything that I do is designed to get you to work, to actually jump in and do the brain work. You can do your own healing work. You don't have to only do your own healing work, but it's great for you to be equipped to do your healing work, because you're going to be with yourself all the time. And so if you can support yourself, that's a great benefit to you. And your brain will be like, your brain will say, excuse me, can I have some support? And then you'll help it out a couple of minutes, and bam, it's off and running. Thank you. Goodbye. I got plans and goals to achieve, right? There's no other piece of equipment on the earth designed to help you reach your goal than your own brain. And we want it to be able to do its work, to do that for you, to help you get those outcomes. So having said that, I will see you all later. I want everyone to be as excited about this as I am. So I invite you to be, but really to try these things out. Get a hold of some interventions. If you join my email list, I start sending you intervention trainings. Say, hey, why don't you try this? See how your brain likes that. And you'll eventually find one that really does connect really, really well, and just helps open up your brain's healing process, and you can just watch work get done. And then when you want to know what exactly work should I do, that's exactly what my program is for. That's exactly what the services I offer are there to do, is to really guide you very specific and targeted through the process of resolving these issues at the root and building function. So be well, everyone. I'll see you later. Take care.